The curtains in our reception room are finally coming to life. This week I've been working on sewing and I'm going to share with you where I've got to. We've also spent a lot of time outside. It's been such a nice week for weather, and we have been adding more to the garden in planting, doing some tidying up, but I've also been exploring a little part of the manor garden that you probably won't have seen very much of, and I'm going to share one of my favorite spots. And we also have some new treasures for our library, so I'm going to share what they are. So let me show you what we've been up to this week. I've learned the hard way to always double check my measurements, so I'm just double checking that the length of my fabric is correct, which it is. I just remeasured the windows, so I know that that's correct, and now I can start sewing the hem on my first panel of fabric. So I'm starting by hemming my lining. I've got everything cut out and I've pinned and pressed my hems. So I'm just hemming my lining, and then I'm going to hem my actual curtain fabric. Now it's time for the fun part, sewing all the pieces together. So I've sewn the sides and the top, and now I have to turn it inside, well, right side out, because I've been sewing it inside out, ready to then put the header tape on. So my first curtain is coming together. It has the lining sewn on. I've got this nice edge piece that kind of frames the edge of the curtain. The hem still needs a little bit of detail, but it's getting there. It's looking pretty good. And the next step is to give it a good press and get the header tape on. So 1 down, 3 to go. Stay tuned for my progress with the rest of the curtains. So just below our big oak tree that you can see behind me, we have this lower level, and we have big plans for this space, but they're not going to happen this year. But down here is a really one of my favorite spots for looking back at the manor and seeing the view. It's a little bit, we are going to be putting in a path down here, but right now there's no path, so you have to watch your feet. But down here is this really cool space. So you can see behind me we have this wonderful woodland area, and I kind of almost feel like it reminds me of the secret garden, and so I'm going to be working on that space over the next few years to make that something very special. But this area down here, I'm looking forward to really developing it. So like I say, it's not going to happen this year, but we're going to be putting in some paths and benches so you can sit down here, and then creating some really pretty garden spaces where we'll have bees and butterflies and plants that attract them. So there'll be these different areas that you can actually explore as you walk through this space. And so we'll have this beautiful woodland area behind me, and then we'll have this really unique space where people can explore and just spend time and sit and enjoy. So I'm just coming through this area with these beautiful forget-me-nots that are like a carpet all over the ground here. And I'm going to show you our amazing rock wall. Now this is an original rock wall. It is really big, and you can see that last year we actually cut everything back and everything's grown again. But we will be clearing all these plants just so that you can see this amazing rock wall. It's about 7 foot tall here, and it goes all the way around right to the front of the manor. And we are going to be clearing this all out and making this into a space where everyone can really enjoy and see the history, because it really is a little piece of history. And just think about all the stories it could tell about the things and people it's seen. The view from this woodland area is probably one of my favorites, because you can see the manor, the beautiful big oak tree, and our amazing rock wall that sits underneath the manor, and it just is the kind of perfect place to look and enjoy. So I'm really looking forward to creating a space down here in the woodland where you can just sit and be part of nature and be able to listen to the sound of the birds. You'll be able to sit under our beautiful oak tree and enjoy this part of the property. So when we moved in, everything behind me that you can see now as a terrace was all grass. The whole front of this area was grass, right from the windows right down onto the grass, and it was just a slope. And so we have built our terrace and added our rock wall and put on the gravel. But in the process of that job, we obviously dug down to take out the grass to put in our terrace, and we discovered the original rock wall that extends from the 7-foot wall around the front or around the back of the manor here and comes all the way round. And we found the original stones that were still there, buried underneath the grass. And so we've exposed those, and we're this year going to be adding some more rock onto that, some more local rock on that to make our rock wall so it goes all the way around the curve. And the wonderful thing is we've heard stories in the village about Lady Smith and how her carriage would come up around by this rock wall, and that's where she would get in to her carriage to go out with her horses. Now that's just a story we've heard. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I'd like to believe it is. And we just love the history in these rocks and bringing them back to life so that people can see them and enjoy them. And it just is the perfect way to complement our terrace here. We're always so grateful when people donate items to the manor, but it's always extra special when the donation has a direct link to someone who is part of the history and story of Ladysmith Manor. And this week, Judy donated this amazing set of books to our library in memory of her great uncle. Now, her great uncle's name was John Smith. Now, it's obviously not the original John Smith. If you remember, Sir Albert Smith owned the property in the 1800s. He had a son called John Smith. It's not that John Smith, it's a different John Smith. And John Smith, along with his wife, he actually ran the property as an old people's home back in the day when the Ladysmith Manor was used to care for old people. And she has donated this set of books for our library in his memory, and they're just so fantastic. I mean, we've got the complete works of Shakespeare here. We have the outline of history by H.G. Wells, complete stories and poems by Edgar Allan Poe. Just fabulous, fabulous books. And I'm so excited to see them in the library. But as I've been looking through, this one caught my eye, and it's the story of the wreck of the Titanic, and it's just so interesting. And I've just been flicking through, and it's got some of these fantastic illustrations, like this illustration of a guy here, a man right at the top as the boat is sinking. It's got all sorts of pictures actually of items back, or photographs back when of people who survived the Titanic. Just so fascinating to flick through. And as you know, I always love old books, so I'm so excited to get these into our library once it's finished and the bookcases are ready to go. So thank you so much, Judy. These will have a very special place, and in memory of your great uncle, and we really appreciate that little piece of history and the continuing story of Ladysmith Manor to come back into the house. So I'm going to get these books packed away safely, ready for our library. And this week is going to be such a fun week in the garden, because as we continue to plant and tidy up, we're also going to be putting our rope swing back out. Now, if you remember last summer, we put up our beautiful rope swing in our big oak tree, and it was such a huge hit at the summer market. Everyone just loved it. And we took it in over winter, and now it's time for it to go back up again. So Stephen is going to be getting up the ladder up into the oak tree to get it back on the branch. And so next week I'll be able to show you how that project goes, so we can get it safely back into the branch of the oak tree, and I can't wait to see it up. But in the meantime, I'm going to get back to working on projects and jobs around the house. I will look forward to showing you our progress again next week. And if you're enjoying our videos, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe in our YouTube video channel, and to make sure that you are the first to see all the videos that we release. We have our weekly video here on the Thursday, but we will be releasing some other videos at different times. So to make sure you're the first to see it, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. And we look forward to seeing you back here next week for our next episode of the Ladysmith Manor Diaries.